Stephen says, by the way, how much truth about COVID vaccine damage has been suppressed too? You and I have spoken a great deal about this. And we need an open and honest conversation about this. And again, that just concerns me in terms of transparency.
It really does. I mean, look, there's so much that is still going on. People think COVID is over, it isn't. For example, last week, the MHRA approved a new COVID vaccine called COVID Sky. And it's had almost no data behind it. I mean, really no data. It looks like the people in the placebo group did better than the people not in the placebo group. None of this is coming out. No. And why have we just approved another vaccine? Why? And why on such limited data?
Well, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, so there is so much to come out. And, you know, we need proper numbers of people that have been injured, as well as those. Let's have numbers of people that we absolutely categorically can say have been saved by it.
So it's really interesting, this one. David and Renee, I challenge people all the time about the safety of the vaccine, but all I got was, I'm following the science. When I asked them how long it took to safety test any drug, they hadn't got a clue, nor did they know the processes involved. It was sheer stupidity and blind faith. I think it was it Valens who actually said that was the wrong slogan? We shouldn't have used following the science.
The science.
The science. Following the science. What he said was we should be led by the science. And there is a fundamental difference in that.
There is a fundamental difference. And also the science was questionable, to say the least, and it really was. But you weren't allowed to say that. You weren't allowed to examine it. And if I said anything about that science, I was jumped on and vilified by my colleagues, I would like to say. And, you know, this is important. We should be able to have open debate. And we're not just losing it in science, we're losing it everywhere. It's almost the death of science. We're not allowed to talk about the trans ideology. We're not allowed to talk about religion. We're not allowed to talk about the climate. You know, debate has gone, and that actually is a failure of society.
Yes, it is. And I also think this whole sort of premise that government came up with, which is science is immobile, science is fixed, this is the science. Science isn't fixed. It constantly evolves. It constantly changes.
By definition, it isn't fixed.
Of course.
It's always just a hypothesis waiting to be disproved.
Exactly right. So therefore they lied to us by saying they followed. We have followed the science. What they should have said is, as science evolves, we will follow it.
Or they should have said we followed the World Health Organization or the WEF. That's what they should have said.
Yes, they could have said that too. Lots of other messages coming in. Red, Mix, Whelan and Lynch are lying when they say the rail strikes are not meant to disrupt the events this weekend. Thank you, Don in Suffolk. Terry in Hampshire says, what is the purpose of the COVID inquiry? Is it to learn lessons for the next time, or to find people to blame for anything and everything? The problem is that there is so much leaked information from everywhere that it will be used to find scapegoats. That's a good point. What is the point of this? What are the references?
Right, so it's a really good point, and I think it needs to be first and foremost to learn lessons so that we never repeat what we did before that was wrong. If there were things that were good, then fine. But also, people who lost loved ones to COVID, people who lost loved ones to vaccines, people who lost their businesses because of the lockdown, people who suffered domestic abuse because of lockdowns, people who missed hospital appointments and had a cancer that was then later diagnosed. They need answers, and they need validation, David. So we do need to look back as well as forward.
We really do, and I think we need the truth for all of those people, those families, many of them still suffering, actually.
People who weren't allowed to grieve properly.
I know. We'll talk more about this, but yeah, I have a very vested interest in this as well, and I think many people around the country also do. Yeah. We need the truth. This is Talk TV, broadcasting live.